Hello and welcome, dear listeners, to Healthy Waves, the live podcast where we dive deep into the wide array of topics with the help of expert guests. So, whether it's the health, wellness, personal development, or navigating the life's many challenges, we are here to explore and uncover the insights that can help you live your best life. I'm your host Avik, and I'm thrilled to guide you through today's episode filled with enlightening discussions and the powerful stories with both of our guests. So I'll quickly introduce you to all of our guests today. So I have with us Molly Booker. So I'd love to mention that Molly is a celebrated LGBTQ advocate, inspirational speaker, and the best-selling author of Magic in the Mess. So, her journey of self discovery, authenticity, and embracing the life's imperfections has touched the hearts of many. So, as a gay minister, she has broken free from traditional norms to live an authentic life, sparking the conversations around the faith and belonging and the purpose. So, Molly's powerful storytelling and message of courage and transformation are sure to captivate your all of you. So, welcome to the show, Molly.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Always excited to jump into these conversations and see where they go.
Lovely, definitely. And also, on the other hand, we have very talented Joe Jacobson. I'll quickly introduce you. So, Joe is a former alcoholic and drug addict who has transformed his life and now specializes in helping others overcome their vices and master their daily habits. So, with like 15 years of alcoholism and the 5 years of drug addiction behind him, Joe has found success in implementing the non negotiable daily habits, waking up early, hitting the gym, and tracking his macronutrients. His story of resilience and recovery is definitely sure to inspire you all. So, welcome to the show, Joe.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Lovely, great. So I'll start with Joe. Uh, so Joe, like if you can share a bit about your journey, like through the addiction and what led you to seek that recovery.
Yeah, so I had a really uh, blessed upbringing. I come from a really great family with, upper middle class. So, but they just wanted to give me the best life possible. So I never really had to want for anything or really work hard for anything either. They were trying to essentially make my life as pleasant as possible, but that came with some downsides. For instance, I never kind of built up my self esteem with problem solving as a child because if I ever reached a difficult part in the problem, I could just ask for help and it was done for me. And so once I got to college and life started happening, I really just found the solution to a lot of my problems in alcohol. It's just a really effective number of distress, and so whether it was boredom, anger, social anxiety, you name it. I could handle anything because I was just always drinking, and I was really good at keeping it at a steady pace. So I mean, I would just be drinking throughout the day, little bits, um, and so yeah, kind of rarely would black out, but I just basically wasn't going through anything in life. And eventually that leads to drug addiction, especially when you're partying in college and stuff and cocaine and everything. I mean, instead of just numbing, you're trying to feel better and better. And then eventually that had turned to methamphetamine, which I really thought helped with my ADD. And to an extent it kind of would. When you're doing the same thing for 16 hours, it's easy to say that your ADD is fixed. But essentially, I'm 35 years old, so it was 15 years of having goals, many in the creative field. So music, writing, whether it's script writing or literary. I was also a stand-up comic for a while, and I just wasn't getting anywhere. I was also in the sales world, so a lot of salespeople have a lot of vices. So a lot of my community was um, toxic or destructive in a way, and I. I guess it reached its kind of tipping point when after some run-ins with the law, DUI and some financial troubles. The pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of changing. And I had been to multiple rehabs that didn't really work, and a lot of that was just self-worth issues. My self-talk was so negative, it was horrific. I mean, the the yeah, way I would talk to myself, we'd call that like hate speech if I were saying it to other people. And it's hard to navigate giving yourself a better life when you just call yourself a piece of shit, because pieces of shits don't deserve better lives. So it was hard to find the starting point of, how do I even improve if I don't see myself as valuable. And I found out it was a lot easier um, it was a lot easier than it philosophically seems. I had joined a program by this mentor I'd been following on social media for a long time, and he had just been saying for a long time, just wake up early, go to the gym, track what you're eating, read personal development material, and drop all vices. So just those 5 things, and just when you're stacking wins throughout the day, when you wake up early, that's a win. You're saying you're grateful for the day. You're doing something
Yeah.
that's hard, because everyone ideally would like to sleep in. I mean, comfort is extremely comfortable. So now I just impose suffering on myself throughout every day. So now the things that life throws at me are I'm mentally prepared for, because I've been fortifying myself and my mind, um, and now I just understand that everything is a step process. So if you have let's say like my recently I've been having car troubles and breaking down in traffic, and that used to be just incredibly frustrating. So I would just throw temper tantrums and not know how to actually fix the thing. And now, I mean, there's really just a few simple steps. It's like buy AAA membership, call AAA, take it to the. It's just like I don't know why I was having such trouble with everything. It's just all it is steps now. And so um, yeah, and then by taking those steps, I say the work instills the worth. So by doing the work, I'm instilling the self worth that I need to see myself as someone worthy of a better life. And yeah, that's essentially it. It was just starting to stack a few wins that are really difficult to do. And I never realized, my dad had always said, work harder than everyone. And I always thought that was just out of the question. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to outwork all these people. Like, people, there's millions of people. How am I going to do that? Then when you start waking up at 3:30, like I do, going to the gym every single day, you realize, like, oh, I didn't realize everyone is so lazy. Like, no one's doing this. Never mind. Like, this is easy. So now I just have a lot of self worth, and it drives me to continuously be better. And with the growth mindset, that even when I do have failures, that it's not it's just there are lessons within that. There's really nothing that can really ruin my day, um, because I'll find the silver linings within that.
Wow, understood, understood. Great. So I'll quickly come to Molly. So Molly, like your memoir, Magic in the Mess, is incredibly powerful. So what inspired you to write it?
Oh, that's such a good question. Well, I first, Joe, thanks for what you've shared. I can certainly relate to a lot of it, and I think one piece was that like outwork everybody, and I certainly grew up with that as well. Like just have an incredible work ethic and work hard, and I started out really good at doing that. I could out effort almost anybody. I worked incredibly hard. I have 3 master's degrees. I'm like
Oh,
super good at efforting,
wow.
right?
Holy
I
cow.
just like go.
Yeah.
Um, but what I found is that, the more I was efforting and the more I kept showing up, it's like, why is this not getting me to where I feel like I want to go? I have all the things, I have all these letters behind my name, and I've done all the things. I've gotten the degrees, I've gotten the job, I've gotten married, and why am I so unhappy and suicidal, in fact? And I can also, Joe, really relate to your incredibly low self-worth and the way that you spoke to yourself. And I'd say mine, was really at the bottom of just like, I am so unworthy that the planet would actually be better if I wasn't here. I'm a negative. So
Yeah.
that's how it occurred to me a lot of the time. And when I hit suicidal crisis about 15 years ago, I realized like I need to do things differently. If I want to get different results, I'm going to need to do this different. And for me, this working, achieving, just checking all the boxes and doing what I've always been told to do just wasn't working. And so I just had this, like divine kind of voice come in and it's like, Molly, what if you lived your life for you? And honestly, that had never occurred to me. Like, never occurred that I would just do it my way. It was always like roll with the flow or, do what you're told. Don't question things, just work hard and just do it. So I started looking at that and seeing what is it that I like to do, and I didn't have an answer for a long time, which is frustrating. It's like now I'm asking myself, okay, like I can have my life be my own. And um so that's been a long journey, and what I think over these 15 years it's been an incredible journey of healing, and the pain to stay the same. Like I can resonate with that, and the pain to change was less painful than to stay the same. And so I think that led to ask looking in the dark places, asking myself questions that I hadn't been willing or wanting to ask, looking at those deep, kind of the shame, the insecurities, and the heart in the book of Magic in the Mess is really looking at how I thought about approaching life, which was all about success and checking boxes, having people like me, getting approval and validation, and realized that way of being wasn't working. And the thing that I'd been avoiding my whole life was any kind of imperfection. Like I don't want anybody to see any flaws or anything. I just want to show up perfectly all the time. I want straight A's constantly. And then it was like, well, why am I so afraid of the mess? Why am I so afraid of not seeming perfect here? Let me take that on. And so for a year, I just took on, my word of the year is mess. And I'm just going to embrace getting messy with myself, with my thoughts, with my life, not having it all perfect. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, I am more fulfilled. I know myself better than ever and more in love than I've ever been. So it was just this like crazy thing of like, I've been trying to avoid the mess my whole life and feeling miserable. And then I finally just allowed myself to be messy and like, okay, I don't have all the answers. I don't have it figured out. And my life got incredibly messy, yet better than ever. So my messiest year to date was my best year. And so I think the message that I want to share is like, maybe it's not as it seems, maybe that there is another way to do it. And I would just share with anybody listening, hey, if that goal line of life isn't working for you, and if you're feeling like, is this it? Or it just doesn't feel like I still haven't found what I'm looking for. there is another way to do it, and that is what brings you joy, and get messy with it. Try the opposite, and for me, it's certainly been magical.
Wow, that's really lovely. Yeah. Okay, and Joe, I'll come to you. What are some of the biggest challenges that you faced during your recovery process?
Oh, sorry. Can you repeat that?
Uh, so I'd say like some of the biggest challenges that you have faced during your recovery process, if you can share.
Yeah. Um, I would say the man, this is good.
Yeah, some good ones.
Yeah. So one thing that I didn't try to do is is do it completely perfectly. So I actually got off meth first, but I was still drinking, and I was happy with that. I there isn't any, I knew that the idea is to drop all vices, but I was kind of aware of the process it may take, and um, so I was still drinking for a few weeks, and then but I was also still committed to the early wake up. Um, so I would be drinking till midnight, but I'd still be waking up at like 4 a.m. and going to the gym, and then I would do like, let's say, one day no drinking, just to try, and I would feel better that day, and then the next day, and then whatever alcohol would still would still call to me, so I'd drink, and then I just kind of realized, like, whoa, because I'm committed to the early wake up and to every, I was committed to the other steps. I was like, oh wow, I really just don't prefer drinking anymore. If I'm gonna do this, then um then I kind of don't need this crutch anymore. And so I've basically just kept dialing in more and more. And when it comes to tracking macronutrients, I would say that has been the biggest challenge, because for the first couple months I was actually doing it wrong. I started the program pretty skinny because I'd just been doing methamphetamine. So I got macronutrients from my coach and assumed, because I was 170 at the time, that those were low. So I just was doing it wrong. I was giving myself too much food to try to gain weight back. But I didn't realize till later that I was supposed to lose body fat first and then bulk up. And so once I started tracking my macronutrients, which are proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, uh, I would say I didn't realize how difficult it is to live like a bodybuilder, essentially, where you're tracking every single thing that you take. For instance, last night I was at my parents' house, and I have an Italian mother. So, all the
Oh,
stereotypes about Italians and their food are 100% accurate. And it was hard to not have everything there, pasta, pizza. I have nephews and a niece, so there were donuts and cake, um, and you're just like, really? Like, I can't eat any of this? Like, that sounds crazy. Like, it sounds crazy that you can't, but at the same time, it's like, if the goal is to lose body fat, then the goal is the goal. So, but my biggest challenge was basically dialing everything in, because it took like multiple months to even start doing everything correctly.
mm,
And yeah, going back to what Molly said, because that, there's perfection is the lowest standard of excellence, because it's not going to
mm,
happen. And then you're not challenging yourself in the right ways. Um, because everything's a process, and so if you're starting off with perfectionism, then you're not even going to learn from your flaws. You're going to probably try to cover them up or something. And So yeah, I would say The biggest challenge has been the food, but also I was kind to myself because I knew how important um, self forgiveness is when you're getting off drugs and alcohol. Like if you don't forgive yourself, good luck. Like, um, you know, but so yeah, I would say the food element is the hardest.
Lovely, lovely. So, coming back to Molly, what according to you is living boldly mean to you? I mean, how has it shaped your life?
Say that again. How is living
Boldly mean to you?
boldly? Um, I think that there was living my life in the comfort zone. Not that I was comfortable, I
Mhm.
was profoundly uncomfortable, but I lived, as Joe was saying about perfectionism, my world was pretty small. If I'm going to um, do everything that it's all buttoned up and it's all going to turn out well, that only leaves me so much room. Like I need to engage in things I'm already really good at. And so while I did get incredible grades all the way through, I was always limited because there's a way that you can do school and get great grades, and there's a way you can do it for the learning and the growth. And those two are not the same thing. And so often I would choose like, well, I'm going to play it safe here and I'm going to go for the A when, really my heart was like, I want to push the limits a little bit. I want to challenge, this, or I want to do it in a unique and different way. And so I think what I was doing, thinking that this was the key to success, was getting it all right. What I took on kind of in that year of mess was like, let me get out of my comfort zone a little bit. I'm going to do things that I don't know how it's going to turn out. And I think that was the hardest thing of not knowing how this is going to go. I'm going to lean into it and I don't know if it's going to work out or not. And I didn't have any practice with that. I always knew that I was going to do well when I did something. And so I think that to me was really living boldly of saying, hey, my heart is calling me to do this. I have no idea how to do it. I might be, it might be a disaster, but hey, I'm going to give it a try. And I think the key thing about that is it really helped me to know who I am. Because what I saw myself was just this small little world. And once I started doing things outside of who and how I knew myself to be, I realized that there was so much more. For example, I kept myself in a pretty small box of, hey, I'm an academic, I'm a student, I'm a lifelong learner, I'm heterosexual for one. And I fit in this gender box. And as I got messy all of a sudden, and I started looking at all of those things like, hey, this idea of perfectionism isn't working for me. And then it's like, once I started that, I started getting curious and like, this box of like what it means to, be a female, doesn't really fit all the way entirely for me either. I love wearing cargo shorts and I love having my hair short, and I profoundly dislike high heels and lipstick. Like that is not for me. And so interesting, like what a grip that had on me. And when I looked at that and said, no more am I gonna force myself into something that doesn't work for the sake of, you know, pleasing
Yeah,
people. I got rid of most of my closet there. And so I think it's in those small things. And as when I did that, it was like, oh, wow, that really opened me up to a new expression, which opened me up to new love in my life and coming out at almost 50 years old. And so that has been the result of living boldly. It's been
that's so
knowing
great.
that I'm queer. It's knowing that I am gender nonconforming, and these ways that I was too afraid to like question the status quo and to live that way. So I'd say, if you're after an authentic life and if you really want that feelings of joy and fulfillment, for me, this is how I finally got there was, really letting myself be messy and explore and find, all my edges, messy and all.
Understood. Totally understood. So, my next thing is to both of you. I mean, um, both of you have incredible stories of the transformation and the resilience. So, uh, how do you handle the moments of anxiety or self doubt in your lives today? So,
You want to go, Molly?
Yes, sure. First of all, there's a lot of them. Like, I'll just be transparent and say, yeah, there's still a lot of moments of self-doubt and of anxiety and, hey, I don't know if I'm on the right track, and I have all of that for sure. And, I think that there's things that I've found that I just keep coming back to. Um, One is for me, I also love waking up early in the morning. There must be something about that. Going out for a run, or the things that really just make me feel authentically me. It's like if I come back to myself and remember, like, hey, I trust myself and I really honor my own truth. So things that help me kind of get back to that space are things that I love to do. And for me, that's journaling, it's writing, it's reading. I love comic books. I love Legos so much. So that I can get back to kind of like my core essence of playing and doing those things. I love being out in nature. And so all of those things are a good reminder. I think that I feel more self-doubt and more anxious when I get too much in my mind, when I start thinking and trying to figure it out and comparing myself to other people. And when I find myself in that space, if I can drop back into my heart through breath or taking, movement or getting in the sunshine, those things of like remembering to drop into my heart, I tend to come back to like, oh, right, this is me. I'm messy. I don't have to have it perfect. How about you, Joe? How would you answer that one?
Yeah, so you're a lot of what you said will line up with mine. So there's a frequency chart of human emotions. So at the lowest is going to be guilt and shame, and then a little above that you'll have fear and anger, and up towards the end there's going to be peace, love, enlightenment, and um, these 5 daily habits that I have will are meant to increase, raise your frequency throughout the entire day. So I used to have crippling anxiety and depression all the time, in part due to inferiority in my youth that I never really dealt with. But then also as with withdrawal symptoms of drinking and using, all of the dumb things you would do. And I mean, I've been diagnosed with general anxiety disorder. I was in two different mental institutions for, depressed, like suicidal depression. And I can't speak for the clinical, really, really like malfunction within the brain, but for general anxiety and depression, that's you not doing the work, and your brain, you're basically, that's you ignoring your conscience to become
mm,
better and to grow. um so throughout the entire day I'm always raising my frequency through the early wake ups, and especially the weight training. So if when you're kind of like what Molly was saying with the exercise or the walking and being outside, that's certainly going to, yeah, raise your frequency quite a lot, and then it'll just bring you into the you know acceptance, love, gratitude, these type of frequencies, because it's crazy how easy it is to get rid of anxiety and depression when you stop being lazy and just start moving. You don't even need to know. At first, I didn't even know I wanted to coach other people. I just wanted to get off drugs and alcohol. And it was astounding the rate of transformation within just a matter of weeks. Not only was I feeling better, but I was feeling like such a level of like love and gratitude and kind of enlightenment in whatever small sense that I could have at the time. Where I was like, man, this is borderline magic. Like I have to show other people this because, I mean, when you've been to multiple rehabs, multiple mental institutions, and all you had to do was just wake up early and exercise and eat right for 5 days, and then you're like fine. Like that's crazy. It's crazy that we're not taught this stuff, from a really early age. Like we're fed processed food and we play sports and stuff like that, but man,
Mhm.
these things, it should be child abuse to not make your to not make your kid exercise, and to give them a lot of processed food. So my anxiety went away when I started putting in the work, and it went away in just a short amount of time. And then these low frequency emotions will come in throughout the day, like towards the end of the day. If it's been 10 hours, 12 hours removed from when I exercised in the morning, I'll start to have self-doubt. And then if I just do like 10 burpees or 50 push-ups or something, then I don't know, it goes away. I'm like, okay, cool, I got this. Like, so these small little things are going to creep in, because you kind of have to be delusional to just feel like you
Yeah.
want to, have this, I don't know, total self belief. Yeah, because then you'd probably stop if you had that. Then you'd probably stop doing the work, and then you'd start to feel worse again. So, yeah, I mean, it's crazy how easy it is to feel better, and just coming from the person who, yeah, has done everything possible to feel better, none of the right things for most of the time.
Lovely. That's really lovely. Great, great. Great. I believe today's discussion will definitely people gonna resonate with themselves, because this is something which is a daily life thing, and somehow people find it much more relevant with the stories you have, and the transformation resilience you shared. So, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Healthy Babes, and definitely, we have had an incredible discussion today. So, exploring the depths of anxiety, authenticity, and the addiction recovery with our amazing guest, Joe and the Molly. Uh, I'd love to mention that their stories of the transformation and the resilience are truly inspiring. And uh, also, like, if you have found today's conversation valuable, be sure to subscribe to our podcast for so that you never miss an episode. And share this episode with your friends, family who might benefit from these insights. And also, at the same time, join us next time as we continue to explore and uncover the new ways to live our happiest lives. And always remember, as I mentioned, that life is a journey. So embracing each moment with the authenticity and the courage can lead to a profound change for sure. So stay tuned for more expert discussions and the stories that will help you navigate your path with the confidence and the clarity. So until next time, uh, keep riding the wave of wellness, and at the same time, take care and be well. So thank you so much.